Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. Today I'm here with Lachlan to chat about some of the 2023 most anticipated films. This year we'll get films from Ari Aster, Ridley Scott, Nia DaCosta, Greta Gerwig, David Fincher, Michael Mann, Wes Anderson, James Mangold, Gareth Edwards, Martin Scorsese, Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, M. Night Shyamalan, and many more. We'll get sequels to Saw, Dune, Creed, Scream, Exorcist, The Nun, The Meg, Insidious, John Wick, Chicken Run, Spiderverse, Transformers, Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ant-Man. So Lachlan, the question is, what are some of your most anticipated films of 2023? We both
that's
selected.
a question.
Yeah, no, that is.
Oh, no,
well,
it's not a question.
was-
You keep going. You keep going.
We'll both pick 5 films individual to talk about a total of roughly 10 films that we each really anticipate. And yes, now Lachlan, let's get to your list. What's your number 5 most anticipated film of 2023?
How could I not start my most anticipated 2023 when in 2019 I had it as my number one? Well,
Yes.
the previous film as my number one most enjoyable
Yeah.
film. It's John Wick Chapter 4. Who doesn't like a bit of John Wick? I'm so excited to get back into this world
Yeah.
with Keanu Reeves, because hopefully it's going to be the better movie of the two, which was meant to be John Wick Chapter 4 and The Matrix Resurrections. This has got to be much
Yeah.
better than The Matrix. So I'm very excited to jump back in. Ewan, what's your number
Yes.
5? You tell me.
I'm a big fan of this franchise. It's got its 6th film in the series already. Jenna Ortega
Final
has
Destination?
had quite the year. Well, I wish. Lachlan, no, don't tease me like that. That's rude. That's rude because
I
I
know you
really
like
want the
that
Final
so much.
Destination
Yeah.
film. I really want one. Would also be the 6th film in that franchise. You're perceptive that way, Lachlan. But no, Scream. Scream 6, we got a short little teaser for it. It's not too far off. I think it comes out quite early into the year as well. So, bit of an uncommon pick for me as the art house guy, but I also do like my good bit of slasher. So, I'm going with Scream 6 as my number 5 pick. What's your number 4?
David Fincher has got a film coming out, supposedly,
Yeah.
called The Killer with
Mhm.
Michael Fassbender. I am
Yeah.
so excited. It has one of the coolest, plot summaries on Letterboxd. Let me just quickly read this. A man, solitary and cold, methodical and unencumbered by scruples and regrets, the killer waits in the shadows, watching for his next target. And yet, the longer he waits, the more he thinks he's losing his mind, if not his cool. A brutal, bloody, and stylish noir story of a professional assassin lost in the world without a moral compass. This is a case study of a man alone, armed to the teeth, and slowly losing his mind. I am so excited because there is a number of films coming from some incredible directors this year, which is
Yeah.
basically the rest of my films on this list are really big directors. And I'm just excited to see what they do. David Fincher is one of the best visual living directors to date that's still working in this industry. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited for this next film of his.
I'm staying on the theme of killers for my next pick, number 4. Killers of the Flower Moon, the new film from Martin Scorsese, was slated to come out in 2022, ended up getting pushed, and I think it's getting a premiere at Gun. So looking forward to that. We got Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons in the cast, as well as Brendan Fraser, Robert De Niro, a really stacked cast here. Very looking forward to this novel adaptation. That's the first film that Scorsese has done since 2019's The Irishman. So what's your number 3, your sole number 3 film, Lachlan?
Well, I couldn't decide. So I decided to turn my number 3 into the big 3. The big
Mhm.
3 action blockbuster drama movies of the year. I have Dune Part 2 by Denis Villeneuve.
Yes.
I'm so keen for this. I
Mhm.
would say I'm kind of cheating with this one because I'm saying this is not my most anticipated film, but this is because I enjoyed Dune Part 1 so much. My number 1,
Yeah.
I'll tell you why it's my most anticipated film, but anyway, Dune Part 2. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's next film. I am praying that it's just as good, if not better, than any of his other films, but I just don't want it to be another Tenet. Just give me something
Yeah.
that's not Tenet. Christopher,
Mhm.
please. And finally, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Another part in this year's setup of films, a Part 1 and eventually a Part 2. I'm so keen for
Mhm.
this. I love the Mission Impossible franchise. those are my number 3 big 3 picks.
Yeah, I love to see Tom Cruise just continually trying to maim himself with the craziest stunts. And yet do the crazy run. Exactly. I'm staying a bit more safe for my actors in my next pick. My number 3 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Also another film with a part 1 there. The original Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was one of my favorite films of that year, and it's been a while. We are getting the next one, the only, I think, animated film that made it onto our list. Although, if I have a look over, there's quite a few animated films coming out that year. We also got the sequel to, I don't know if it was long awaited, to Chicken Run, Spellbound, Elemental, Nimona, Wildwood, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and I guess the Super Mario Bros. Movie are all animated films that are already confirmed. Wish, I think, as well, or maybe that's the year after. That's the new Disney film. So lots to come in that genre, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is definitely my most anticipated one out of those. Lachlan, your number 2 pick comes from a director who pretty much made his own genre in the types of films that he made. So tell us
And is
about
also one of the directors so close to my heart. I absolutely love and adore every single one of his films, Wes Anderson, because it looks
yes.
like to be the biggest ensemble cast of the year. We've got Margot Robbie, we have Tom Hanks, we have, my page just crashed because I accidentally clicked a button. We have Edward Norton, Scarlett Johansson, Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston, Jason Schwartzman, Maya Hawke, Tilda Swinton. We have Willem Dafoe, Adrian Brody, Jeff Goldblum. Ladies and gentlemen, there is such a large cast in this film, and I am so excited because it sounds like an end of the world film, like a doomsday film by Wes Anderson, so that makes me even more excited in just his wicked visual style. So
Mhm.
Asteroid City is my second most anticipated film of the year.
I can totally understand that with the track record that Wes Anderson has had so far for you. For me, I'm sticking with someone who's had a way shorter span of films that he's made so far, but has had an equal impact with his two horror films, Midsommar and Hereditary. Ari Aster's new film, which was originally named Disappointment Boulevard, is now named Beau is Afraid. I don't know if that's, it seems like a lesser title overall. I don't know why they made the name change, but we got Joaquin Phoenix at the center of it all. It's described as a zonkey nightmare comedy. So I'm keen because we don't really know much about this at all. And I'm always keen to what Ari Aster is up to next. So that's my number 2 pick. What's your number 1, Lachlan?
Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix, this, as I said,
Yes. I didn't notice. Yeah.
Dune Part 2 would probably be my most anticipated film, but
Mhm.
it's because it's following up a really wicked film from last year.
Yeah.
Well, last year being 2021. This, however, has me intrigued. Napoleon, played by
Napoleon.
Joaquin Phoenix,
Yes.
directed by one of the greatest living directors to date, Ridley Scott,
M. Night Shyamalan.
who's
I'm sorry.
Motherfucker, don't even bring M. Night Shyamalan into this, because Knock on a Cabin is not on my anticipated list. Ridley Scott, ladies and gentlemen, who does not have the best recent track record with House of Gucci and, House of Gucci and The Last Duel. They were both not what he could be, but he is the director of Blade Runner, Gladiator, The Martian. You know, he is one of the greatest directors living and one of the hardest working ones as well. Come on, the
Yeah.
dude made fucking Gladiator with Joaquin Phoenix, and now he's making a personal story. You hear that? Did you hear that? A personal
A personal
look at
story.
Napoleon, his origins, and essentially his very short-lived rule. Keyword short.
Short. He wasn't that short, but sure.
It wasn't that short. I just
No.
like that joke. I'm very excited for this film because
Yeah,
if
me
it's
too.
anything to go by the recent reports, apparently they rewrote some of the film because of Joaquin Phoenix's performance, and he says that the performance that Joaquin does is absolutely incredible. So I am extremely excited to see Joker 2.
Also, Joker 2. Oh my god. Sorry.
Made you
When's
say
Joker?
it.
Is Joker 2 coming
in
out
like
this
3
year as
years.
well? Okay,
No, I
it's
think it's
not.
in like 2
It's
years.
not this year. I mean, it might have a surprise that played at Venice in 2019. So we obviously don't know. We forgot to say this at the start that like obviously this is gonna change. This is just kind of big names attached to a project. That's what's so exciting. But there might be like some other films that end up getting a bit of buzz, and we
Mm.
anticipate them even more. But I feel like this year we got like really early a lot of promised stuff that has kind of been pushed back as well. And I've been hearing, well, okay, so I cheated again as well for my number one, and I technically have two, just because for one of them I have no clue if it will actually release, and it would by far be my most anticipated film. But first, I got to talk about Barbie, which you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't expect. But having seen the stills, having seen the crazy nature, that teaser trailer, Greta Gerwig, Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie, this is undeniable. It looks so incredibly fun. It could also be just a complete miss and not funny at all and really dumb. Still, I'm gonna have a blast watching Barbie. Not because it's made by, a big conglomerate with Barbie doing a film like Playmobil or Lego does, but because it is Greta Gerwig and I'm a huge fan of hers. I think she has only made great films with Lady Bird and Little Women. So I'm really keen for what she has in store with Barbie. But if I had to pick a film that I really hope, releases this year, I'd have to go with Hayao Miyazaki's arguably maybe last film. He said it about the Wind Rises a couple of years ago, I think, as well. How Do You Live? We don't really know much about it other than that it's a novel adaptation, but he might be one of my favorite filmmakers of all time, in my top 3 at least. So I'm really keen for How Do You Live, and hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed, we'll get it in 2023. Lachlan, are there some other films that didn't make it onto your top 5 list that you just quickly want to shout out? Some other stuff that's coming out this year.
I really only care about Indiana Jones, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's all
fair
I
enough.
care about.
I mean, if I had to pick one of the MCU films out of the 3 that I think are coming out this year, I'm picking Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3, the last one for James Gunn, and like arguably before the Guardians as well. I feel like that's going to be interesting. Staying with the 3s, Creed 3. I really like the Rocky franchise. Watched every one of them so far, so I'll be watching that. The third one, again, no, we got so many 3s in this. Maxine, the third one of X, Pearl, and now we get Maxine in the 80s. Looking forward to that. Really nothing much on it yet. Luca Guadagnino has a new film with Zendaya called Challenges. The Flash finally comes out. We also got Timothée Chalamet in Wonka, Adam Driver in 65, and then Taika Waititi's long-awaited next go wins, as well as last but not least, Saw X, or Saw number 10. Interesting lineup. We'll be covering it all, so if you want to stay up to date with everything, then consider subscribing to the channel, leave a like on the video, and let us know what your most anticipated films of the year are.